On the upcoming episode of What If I Don't Like It, we'll be joined by Matt, who you might know as the Letterhack. And he's going to watch a movie that I absolutely adore and I cannot believe he hasn't seen. He'll be giving us his video that explains why he hasn't seen it and why he may or may not expect to like it. But this is the video that I'm generating for him to hype him up before he sees it and to tell him a couple of reasons why I think he really will like this. Let's just get this out of the way and talk about the elephant in the room. Yes, this film is associated with Joss Whedon because he co-wrote it along with Drew Goddard, who is also the director of it. The two of them work together a lot on Marvel stuff, and they work together on Buffy. That does not really mean that this is entirely Whedon's viewpoint. I do feel like Goddard had a lot to do with this, specifically because he was the director. I think when you look at stuff like Usual Suspects and you have to think about, like, here we have Spacey involved in the film, but the director himself was not involved in any of that kind of stuff. Can we have fruit from a poisonous tree? And I know a lot of people feel very strongly about Joss Whedon, and so that may or may not affect whether or not you feel like you can watch this movie. That being said, let me tell you a couple things about Drew Goddard that you may not know that are kind of really fun. He is a writer and director. He wrote a lot of television shows. He wrote the original Buffy. He worked on Alias and Angel, obviously, and he also worked on Lost. And as a director, he's only directed 3 things. This film, something called Bad Times at El Royale, which I have not yet seen but do plan to see, and the pilot episode of The Good Place. He is also known for his Oscar nominee for The Martian, Best Screenplay Adaptation for that. So I really feel like Goddard's got a lot of good stuff in his belt, and it really shows here this is his directorial debut film. You're also going to get a very, very young Chris Hemsworth. He had been in Australian television, and he had he played Chris Pine's dad, Captain Kirk's dad, in the 2009 Star Trek as like a cameo role. But this shoots before Thor, even though Thor comes out before Cabin in the Woods, so we get an incredibly fresh face, incredibly young Chris Hemsworth doing his first real feature acting work here. And it's joyous, and it's so much fun. You're also going to get Bradley Whitford. I mean, that is such a good get for this film, and he is astonishingly fantastic in it. Personally, I'm a Grey's Anatomy fan, so when I saw an incredibly young Jesse Williams, I freaked out. I forgot he was even in this. And Fran Kranz, who plays the stoner character, I'm a stoner, so I feel like such love for this character. This is a mirror up to who I am, and the first time I saw this movie, I literally went, "'Tis I!" So it is, it's an incredibly enjoyable movie for stoners. I think they'll really love that character. Horror movie fans will also really love this because while it has tons of Easter eggs, get ready to find all kinds of things in here. Fans of The Cube, you'll definitely find some stuff. It subverts that, so it sends it up while subverting it, and anytime it becomes very tropey or very cliched, I mean, it's called The Cabin in the Woods. It's intentionally generic to make a point. It goes a little further and says, hey, you're in on the joke with me here. This is satire. So, if anything, Cabin in the Woods is more funny than it even is scary, and I really, really love that. That being said, there are obviously some things to dislike about pretty much any movie if you come at it from a certain way. If you don't like Whedon, I already said you might not like this. If you're not really into meta commentary or satire or kind of like breaking of all of that, you're gonna really, really hate this. If you want gory, straightforward slasher horror, it's not really gonna do that as well. It is making a commentary. It is very intellectual. So, you know, even being basically intellectual, it does have horror. It does have gore in it. It is not straightforward horror. And if that's really your bag and you hate meta commentary and you hate comedy in your horror, don't even watch this movie. How did you get here? But for me, I just really adore this movie. I watch it every 420 because it is one of my favorite stoner movies and because it ends in a way that is very true to how I view humanity and the world. And if you know the ending, you'll know a lot more about me, but Matt doesn't yet, so we'll have to save that for when we record part 2 and he sits down with me after having seen this and we see, what if he did like it?